But nothing compares to that night on Route 66. This is a story I haven't shared with many, partly because I know it sounds insane, but mostly because I don't like to relive the terror. Yet, I feel compelled to get it off my chest, so here goes. T was late October, the kind of night where the cold seemed to creep into your bones no matter how high you cranked up the heat. I was hauling a load of electronics from Chicago to Los Angeles, trying to make good time so I could spend Halloween with my family. The highway was deserted, which was just fine by me. Less traffic meant fewer headaches. Somewhere in the middle of the Arizona desert, my truck's clock read 2:37 a.m. The only sound was the steady hum of the engine and the rhythmic thump of the tires on the asphalt. I'd been driving for hours and decided it was time for a break. I spotted a rest area sign and pulled off the highway. The rest area was empty, not another soul in sight. The lights in the parking lot were dim, and the whole place had an eerie vibe. I parked my rig, stepped out into the crisp night air, and stretched. I took a quick walk around to wake myself up, the crunch of gravel under my boots the only sound. Just as I was about to climb back into the cab, I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. There, standing at the edge of the rest area near the tree line, was a figure. At first, I thought it was another trucker, but something about it felt off. I called out, but got no response. My skin prickled with unease. I decided to get back on the road and put some miles between me and that creepy rest area. As I drove away, I glanced in my side mirror and saw the figure still standing there, watching me. Shaking my head, I told myself I was just tired and seeing things. About an hour later, the road started to get foggy. Thick tendrils of mist curled around the truck, reducing visibility to almost nothing. I slowed down, eyes straining to see through the gloom. That's when I saw her, a woman, standing in the middle of the road, wearing a long, flowing white dress that seemed to glow in the dark. I slammed on the brakes, my heart leaping into my throat. The truck skidded to a stop just inches from her. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there with her head bowed. I rolled down the window and called out, asking if she was okay, if she needed help. She slowly lifted her head, and I'll never forget what I saw. Her eyes were black, empty voids that seemed to suck in all the light. Her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile, and she whispered something I couldn't make out. A wave of cold swept through the cab, and the radio crackled to life with static. I looked back at the road, but she was gone. I rubbed my eyes, questioning my sanity. Was I hallucinating from fatigue? Determined to get to the next town, I pressed on. The fog seemed to grow thicker, almost alive, wrapping around the truck like ghostly fingers. I heard whispers, faint and indistinct, but unmistakably there. They grew louder, more insistent, filling the cab with an eerie cacophony. Default text. Suddenly, the truck jerked violently to the side as if something had slammed into it. I fought the wheel, trying to keep control. Through the fog, I saw shapes moving, dark figures darting just out of reach of the headlights. Panic set in. I was a seasoned driver, not easily spooked, but this was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Out of nowhere, the truck's engine died. The lights flickered and went out, leaving me in pitch darkness. The whispers turned to laughter, cruel and mocking. My breath came in short gasps, and my heart pounded in my ears. I grabbed my flashlight, hands trembling, and stepped out of the cab. The fog seemed to part, revealing the woman in white standing just a few feet away. Her empty eyes bored into mine, and she spoke again, her voice a chilling whisper that cut through the night. "You shouldn't have come here." I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet. The laughter grew louder, more frenzied, as shadows swirled around me. I ran back to the truck, slammed the door shut, and turned the key, praying it would start. The engine roared to life, and I floored it, tearing down the road as fast as I could. The fog gradually lifted, and the whispers faded. My heart still pounded, but the terror was beginning to subside. I drove until I reached the next town, where I pulled into a well-lit truck stop, grateful for the company of other drivers. I spent the rest of the night in the cab, unable to sleep, replaying the night's events over and over in my mind. By morning, the sun had burned away the last traces of fog, and I felt a sense of relief. Maybe it had all been a bad dream, a trick of the tired mind. But as I walked to the diner for some coffee, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Scratched into the side of my truck, in letters deep and jagged, were the words, "Never come back." I haven't driven that stretch of Route 66 since. I don't know what I encountered that night, and frankly, I don't want to find out. All I know is that some roads are best left unrevealed, especially in the dead of night.